Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Rob Roselli Show. And I'm excited to welcome to the program Rob Roselli. Rob, how are you? Great to talk to you again today. And I know you're really excited about, sharing your message, right? That's what gets you to do this is, it's not about the money. It's about reaching as many people as possible with this message, for sure, isn't it?
Yeah, well, let me put you this way. As I've stated, I can't say I'm overly excited about ultimately where this is all going, which I'll get right to the point, which is the ultimate destruction of these very United States, which I've identified as Mystery Babylon in the book of Revelation. So it's not something that I find particularly appealing. However, you go back to Ezekiel 33 and, watchmen on the people are obligated to warn, advise, etc., others as to what is going on and what will be going on. And if that sounds condescending or conceited, I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is. And that's really what drives me. To be honest, I'm not a public speaker. I'm not a politician. I really don't have a desire to be, but be that as it may, I mean, what my motivations are very much incidental to the overall scope and where the show is ultimately going and who hears it and whatnot. Financially, yeah, I'm not doing this to make money. I'm well into the red. This and other shows and other things I've been doing over the past decade and self-publishing and all this sort of thing. So I don't really advertise. I don't have any links or, many links or clicks, where I make money on my website. I don't have any of that really. So the best way people can support me, if they so choose, would be to purchase either one of my books, The Un-American Genocidal Complex, which we talked about last week, which some people know as the Eastern Establishment or the Deep State or whatever you want to call it. And I guess Pleased to Meet You, which we'll discuss on today's show. And my first book, They Live, Great Society of the Undead, is available right on the website as a download. And there you are on the honor system to pay for that. Pay for whatever you will. I ask for $5 or any more donation, whatever will be appreciated. But anyway, just to kind of keep me even here or whatnot. If it goes above that, then great. If not, then that's not really my motivation as discussed. But anyway, again, the website, boxofsunglasses.com.
Yes, which we're on right now. We're right now showing the website for the people watching on YouTube and Facebook. And if I scroll down, we scroll down to Pleased to Meet You. We talked about, again, the Un-American Genocidal Complex last week. And now we're going to delve deeper into Pleased to Meet You. And that's that's kind of almost like not a play off the Screw Tape letters, but something in a different conversation based on what your process is, the way you wrote this, right?
Well, basically, it's kind of a Frankenstein book, if you will. It's the concept of the Screw Tape letters, where two demons are talking to each other and having a conversation. I took that concept, and the conversation in this book is between Satan himself and a character, the main character O'Brien, which I took from Orwell's 1984. He represents, Big Brother, or the establishment of the Un-American Genocidal Complex, whatever you want to call it, is O'Brien, and that's really the crux of the book is that conversation, which I did get from the Screw Tape letters. But I incorporated elements of several movies and short stories. John Carpenter's They Live, obviously, which was inspiration to really the website and a lot of the stuff I do. And also a lesser known movie that John Carpenter made called In the Mouth of Madness, which I believe is spot on, as I'm interpreting end time events and what's going on and into relationship between Satan and the other characters, the other demons in the Bible,
Right, exactly.
And Leviathan in the Old Testament. John Carpenter in that movie hits the nail on the head. In my view. But anyway, so there's elements of that, and also Stephen King. I'm not a fan of the man's politics or obviously or whatnot, but he is a brilliant writer. There's no doubting that. He's very successful, obviously, and probably one of the best sellers of all time. But a couple of his short stories and movies, The Stand is one of them. And also another movie called Needful Things, short story and movie, which in my mind described the whole Federal Reserve scam to a T. It compresses the 100-year Federal Reserve scam down to like a short story and a 90-minute movie. Really does a great job, and he has a character in there, William Gaunt, Leland Gaunt, rather, I believe his name is, and obviously representative of Satan. And I kind of, envision that character as the Satan character in Pleased to Meet You, just to kind of give people a visual. But and that's kind of the background of the book. And then, of course, it discusses all kinds of events throughout history, from current events to the past, how it's all, history is in fact controlled by the prince of this world. Well, let me back up. I mean, it's controlled as the God of the universe allows him to control it. And he does control it for a time, as per the Luke's and Matthew's gospel. But anyway, it's that conversation is really most of the book. And I don't want to be a whole spoiler alert, but you can kind of figure if O'Brien has made a deal with the devil, just use your imagination on how the book ends. And I'll just leave it to that people's imaginations. But anyway, and it's written, it's probably a 1 to 2 hour read. I don't know, I can't say how fast people read, but it's very succinct. But it gets right to the point. And many of the events that are discussed, although obviously the conversation is fictional, parentheses, I think, and we can get into the whole kind of devil worship that's really going on with our leaders. But anyway, that's kind of the flow of the book, and it compresses world history down to a 1 and 2 hour read, and that's basically what it is, and it goes through history all the way back to ancient Egypt and Babylon all the way through today, and that's really, we can talk for hours on the book if you actually read the book. I mean, it cites all kinds of biblical passages, and some people are familiar with, some not so familiar, but the events that are discussed are historically accurate and factual, whether people want to believe it or not. Talk about things like the Federal Reserve and World War II and who really started World War II, and not the storybook version many of us are used to, and that sort of thing. But and of course, the environmental movement, which we discussed last week, in the Un-American Genocidal Complex, which is really a move towards genocide, and has nothing to do with cleaning up the environment, as it is what started as a legitimate movement, which is Greenpeace and that sort of thing back in the 70s, has devolved into a bunch of communist radicals, assortment of losers, of course, controlled by satanic psychopaths who are out to control the world and
exactly. Yeah, well,
90% of the world's population, per the Georgia Guidestones. But that's kind of getting into the Un-American Genocidal Complex, which we discussed.
So there's connectivity in Pleased to Meet You, and maybe an easier read, the kind of more entertaining read than Un-American Genocidal Complex. And you're like, if we compare the two books.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, the Un-American Genocidal Complex it's factual. I mean, and there's appendices and it's documented. There's all kinds of stuff in there that, and whether people want to believe it or not, that's their business. But I'm just telling you, everything in there is fully substantiated and it's more factual. And that too is a quick read. Probably a 2 to 3 hour read. Yeah, Pleased to Meet You. It's kind of, I don't want to say it's funny, but the Satan character I made, the Satan character does have a lot of he's condescending and kind of mocking in the way he talks to O'Brien, basically calling him a fool, as the Bible does. And the word fool in the Bible means basically, that's the Old and New Testament, way of saying you're an idiot and a moron, which we can see on display with Nancy Pelosi and whatnot, and the idiots that think they're running the country. But be that as it may, so Satan kind of talks down to O'Brien, kind of mocking him and telling him that, he thought he was in control of the world, but he made a deal with the wrong character. He made a deal with Satan, and I'm going to say that, judging by what's going on in the world today, I'm going to say, and that's a literal deal. Okay, just like it's spelled out very clearly in, chapter 4 of Matthew and Luke's gospel. And people want to believe that or not, I really don't care. If somebody has a better explanation for what's going on, and I'm all ears. But anyway, and then O'Brien, it's kind of cocky at first, and he starts figuring it out that maybe he really is doomed. All the billions that he has accrued over in power and whatnot that he has accrued over time, vis-a-vis the Rockefeller family, Rothschild, and all the names, the Carnegie,
Exactly.
behind the Federal Reserve System. But yeah, they had their worldly wealth for a time, 80 years, 100 years, or whatever it is. But now they get to spend eternity in a world of darkness, which I believe is the true definition of what hell is. It's not fire and brimstone and devils running around with pitchforks. It's just eternal darkness. It's an absence of God is what it is, and that's where these people are headed. I hate to sound like that, and if you really contemplate what that means, but anyway, and that's where it all ends up. But anyway.
Yeah, so Pleased to Meet You is available right now. You can go right now to Amazon to purchase it, but you also can go to boxsunglasses.com. You can also download the PDF version on your website, or again, available at iUniverse. So many different places for sure. Looking at what people do if they're, perusing the website, we've talked about the 2 books. There's a lot more information at boxsunglasses.com. Any predictions for next week for people listening now? Any predictions based on I just can't believe the field for the Democrats Party. I really think that Cory Booker left. I don't know how anyone could beat President Trump. None of these candidates are attractive at all except Biden. And the fact that Joe Biden is that Joe has doesn't have his base really fired up for him.
Look, yeah, you want my prediction? These people suck. They're just like an agglomeration of losers, liars, and in government, career lowlifes. All right, that's what they are. These people suck. Hypocrites. There's nothing. Anyway, what I'm gonna say. Maybe we can talk about this on future shows, and I'll just leave it with this: is in Revelation 13, it talks about a deadly head wound that heals. Okay, and I'm more and more of the belief that, and the head wound, it's a political head wound. Okay, I'm not one of these biblical literalists. Those people that think the Bible needs to be taken literally have no idea what they're talking about, and you just end up in stupidity. But anyway, the head wound in Revelation 13 is it's definitely a political wound. And I'm saying right now that I believe Trump is going to be the purveyor of that deadly wound, in the sense that, and it's already started. You can already see the way these people are panicking, as we've discussed on past shows. It's a political head wound, but then the political people are in awe of the beast. So what that tells me is Trump's going to get a lot of these people. Okay, there's a lot, and they know that. That's why they're panicking. And I leave it to the listener's imagination as to where
exactly
Trump he'll succeed for a while, but I have the fear that he's going to end up like one JFK eventually. But anyway, maybe we can pick that up on next week's show.
Absolutely. Yes. Looking forward to talking about that and talking about other news, but we're going to keep going through the website. I just wanted to bring up that specific things, boxsunglasses.com. Follow Rob Roselli on all different social media sites, YouTube channel about to launch. A lot of big things. I appreciate you calling, Rob. And I know that you're not excited for the end of the world, but you're excited that you at least are going to give the last for everyone out there in their souls to make the decision now what they're going to choose. And so that's why you're bringing that information up. So I appreciate you calling, Rob.
Yeah, Yeah, and I'm same here. And the Book of Jonah is a good one out of the Old Testament I should have mentioned. But anyway, we can talk about that in the future. But anyway, thanks again, and we'll talk to you later.
All right, guys. That was the Rob Roselli Show, everyone.